Welcome to the Empowered Spirit Show. This is your host, Terry Ann Hyman. I'll explore the connection to the human spirit in a way that helps to navigate your life, including crisis. I am passionate about helping you to open up to your intuition and the metaphysical world of spirit to find your confidence in your own inner guidance. Take a pause, be inspired, learn ways to show up focused, centered, and more dynamic in your everyday life. Welcome back to the Empowered Spirit Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me today. This episode is being sponsored by Ritual and Shelter. Are you looking for a magical place to shop and hold space? Check out Ritual and Shelter online or in Homewood, Alabama. Browse through their bookshelves covering topics such as energy healing, crystal healing, Reiki, chakras, auras, the Akashic Records, shadow work, astrology, and earth-based healing. You can also find herbal teas and tinctures alongside crystals and oils to help establish a mindful mindset and fluid ambience before meditation, ritual work, and reflection. Ritual and Shelter is dedicated to providing one-on-one, in-depth conversations with customers to help them find the most efficient healing methods of resources that match their unique interests and energy. They offer tarot sessions, Reiki, sound bowl, and crystal healing. Visit ritualshelter.com to book an appointment and bring peace back to the body, mind, and spirit. And find them on Instagram at Ritual Shelter Shop. As this podcast goes to air, we continue to move through the eclipse portal of energy, which leads us right into the transitions of season, moving into the fall. The equinox helps us to realign, to balance, and to notice our energy. It is all about getting out of our comfort zone and waking up to the energy of our soul. It is about releasing old karma and stepping forward into more balanced relationships with ourselves and our communities. This energy is an awakening. It hits on the south nodes of the cosmic chart, asking you to look at your path and notice where you stuck in your comfort zone. It is draining when we continually stay in limiting old beliefs. Yes, it is comfortable and the brain does seek safety, but is it really? Within each of us lies this enigmatic inner strength, our soul. From my perspective, this soul force is formidable. It embodies our individuality and core passions. It represents the essence of who we are, an intrinsic part of us that cannot be ignored and yearns for expression. Many think this soul force, if it exists at all, is unrelated to our everyday lives. I think the opposite. To truly find satisfaction in our day and reach our fullest potential, regardless of our field, we must engage with and harness this inner power. What does it mean to work from your soul? In my experience, it feels like tapping into a wellspring of limitless potential that is continually rejuvenating and vibrantly alive. Rather than operating from a shallow layer of thoughts or strategies, I experience a connection to a dynamic system of energy and creativity that fuels my work. This is the shift in humanity going on right now. This is what the eclipse portal is all about. From the full moon of this past week to the new moon in Libra on October 2nd, this is what all of us are opening up to. Do you feel like your soul is wandering, searching? I recognize this feeling. My soul has been wandering and searching. And when our soul wanders, it can be draining. Feelings of uncertainty, self-esteem can drop. Trying to please others can come in as well. However, by acknowledging this and finding the tools and techniques to help you move through, you will find that you can ground in your soul. What is it for you? What is that energy drain? The thing that takes you away from valuing your energy, your time, your light? Have you taken my quiz, The Dark Side of Energy Drains? It can help you understand where you are losing energy. Monetizing your energy is my next online class coming this fall, but first we have to understand these energy drains. When the subtle energies are aligned with what you want, they will work for you. You will start to draw health, opportunities, money, people, clients, or anything you want into your life with a lot more ease. This will allow you to work less while having more impact and attracting great people into your life. It will help you become healthier, stronger, more powerful, and empowered. Join me online Wednesday, September 25th for more understanding of what it means to monetize your energy and how this can help you empower your life and your work. I'll drop the links in the show notes. And today's episode, I am so excited to share this interview with you. I'm so lucky that I get to interview these amazing spiritual creators and authors. Today, I speak with Lisa Rainbow Biritz. She has created an oracle deck, Shamanic Star Wisdom. Her knowledge and our conversation is so timely. As we continue the shift in higher consciousness and higher awareness, the wisdom of the star people, the star beings, can help us so much. We need to recognize we are part of this great cosmic awakening. In this episode, we talk about the wisdom of star beings from across the galaxy, including innate spiritual gifts you have inherited through your starseed ancestors. 14 star families are represented in the cards, including the Pleiadians, the Hathors, the Akatarians, the Lemurians, and more. And each card shares a talent or quality from the star being shown, such as courage, empathy, beauty, wisdom, healing power, groundedness. So much is in this deck. But before we begin, let's take a moment to pause, breathe, and set an intention for the eclipse portal of energy and transition of seasons. So wherever you are, if you can, close your eyes. Taking a nice deep inhale, breathing up the body. And as you exhale, bringing the breath all the way down, slowing down. Inhale, expanding the breath up the body. Exhale, bringing that breath all the way back down as you call all your energy into you, grounding. Inhale, expanding the breath up the body. Exhale, aligning your energy, calling in the spiritual body to align right on top of the mental, the emotional, the physical bodies, centering. Inhale, expanding the breath up the body. And now as you exhale, dropping into the heart, right into the deepest part of your heart, feeling that connection. Your spirit and the greater spirit. Know that you are loved, guided, protected. Feeling all this energy coming in around us as we honor this great wheel of life, as we move through this transition of seasons. We honor the season of summer, where we've come from, the direction of the south, as we open up through this portal of energy, through the changing of seasons, to the direction of the west, where we find the season of fall. We honor the north and the east, above us, Father Sky, below us, Mother Earth. Right here in the very center, taking a moment and noticing your path. Notice these intentions for where you can shift and let go, for where you can step in to a greater part of your soul's journey. See and hear, feel and know these elevated emotions, how you want to move forward. And allow it to radiate out all around you, right out of the heart, programming your aura, setting these intentions. Taking another deep inhale, breathing up the body. Exhale all the way back down, grounding, feeling the heart open, feeling the illumination of your third eye. And as you're ready, blinking the eyes back open, coming back. So my guest today, Lisa Rainbow Biritz, has traveled around the world learning shamanic traditions, including the Hawaiian traditions of Huna, Sandra Ingerman's core shamanism, and the healing practices of medicine chief Sun Bear. Her genuine curiosity about life led her to study journalism in Boston. She is a magna cum laude graduate. She wrote in this field for 10 years for magazines in Europe and the U.S., including Elle, Cosmopolitan, and was an editor for Marie Claire and a radio talk show host as well. She lives with her family in Austria and Hawaii. So let us welcome Lisa to the show. Welcome.
Hi, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you for being here all the way from Austria today.
Yeah, that's possible nowadays with technology.
It is possible. It is. It is amazing. And just really thinking about the work that you're bringing forward, really just bringing in all of those universal energies, all those realities in this deck that you've created, the Shamanic Star Wisdom Oracle. What a beautiful deck. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. The images are by wonderful artist Petra Kühne. She's done a lot of decks with Chuck Spizzano, if you're familiar with him. And I've done a couple of decks with her, and she's really the one to give credit for the beautiful cards. I just did the concept and the booklet and the meditations.
Well, that is a feat unto itself. I actually have a tarot deck, the Empowered Spirit Tarot deck, and I have an illustrator as well. So I know both parts of what it takes to even just put it out there. So it is a beautiful deck. As I mentioned, we were using it in our Reiki 2 class this weekend, and everyone just loved it. They loved the messages. We were able to bring in so much more energy. You know, in Reiki 2, we talk about distant healing, no time or space, right? And so we were able to bring that energy in. So it was very well received. That is just really great.
Thank you.
So let's just ask the question, what led you to bring this forward now?
Yeah, the main reason, of course, I have a background, whole story that goes back decades with the star beings and what brought me to it. But the main calling at the moment is because of the transition Earth is going through, where we have, according to these old shamanic indigenous prophecies and star wisdom teachings, we're going through several major galactic events at the moment. For example, going through the Pleiades photon belt, radiation belt, which just started now and which is going to be happening the next 2,000 years. And we're just at the beginning, and we're already getting a sense of possible changes coming. And it's a time of great changes. Everybody feels it. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety about the changes. A lot of people also see it positively, but majority, I think, there's a lot of fear. And this card deck also I did so that people understand there's nothing to be afraid about, and it's unavoidable. We're going into this bright Pleiadian radiation belt light, which we move through every 11,000 years, cyclically as our planet Earth. And it's kind of like when you're in your room and you haven't swept in a corner, it's kind of dark there, and you know that there's a whole bunch of gook there, but you've just kind of been avoiding it. And then all of a sudden you shine a bright light there and you see, oh my God, there's so much crap there. There's also a bunch of stains on the wall. I got to take care of that. And that's what's happening now. And it shines really brightly at everything that cannot be sustained will deteriorate over the next 2,000 years, and what is important will remain. So this is a very, very positive and normal evolutionary change. And this is also why some people handle it so much easier who have done already a lot of transformation work than others. And I think it's very important for us now to be aware of this transformation we're going through, so that we can set the path for the coming generations, because there's going to be a lot of generations following us moving through these 2,000 years. But we are the first ones right in the beginning who felt what's happening now.
Yeah, I love that. I'm ready. I'm ready. And I remember way back, oh my God, probably almost 25 years ago, an astrologer told me, you are going to be one to greet this energy. I'm like, what does that mean? But I am ready. I have no fear for it at all. And I already do channel some of the energies. I've talked about the Lemurians a lot in my work and all the messages I receive. And as I mentioned before we hit record this summer, actually, it was kind of late spring. The Occultarians visited me in my sleep. And then I'm looking outside at the stars. I'm like, what is that? And it was like the star of Occultarian. It's like, oh my gosh, so fascinating. Now, I get asked this question a lot, and I'm curious how you answer it. Like, well, what are the star people? How do you answer that?
The star beings are different types of beings, awarenesses, energies, people in the universe in different dimensions. The universe is very inhabited. It's obviously not only the Earth, and we can communicate with them. We can contact them. Most of us have also been living somewhere else in a different incarnation. We bring star memories with us, and we can, with telepathic communication, contact and communicate, or like in your case, they've contacted you. They're contacting a lot of people now. We can communicate with them and see what are their gifts for us. How are they trying to help us? What is going on, what is happening. And also in the card deck, I present a lot of different star groups that are also part of the old indigenous teachings all around the world, which is pretty amazing. You know, the South Americans, the indigenous Australians, they all talk about similar beings from similar stars, but yet back then when they created all these legends and all this wisdom, there was no internet yet. So this is very universal knowledge. Yeah.
It is, and it's quite fascinating. I know I've taken a few classes, and sometimes I feel like light language comes through me. I've always been fascinated from light, whether it started through photography or the work I do, and color and sound. Always thinking like, okay, this is our medicine of the future. And I don't know where it came from, but I do feel probably from just channeling and being open to receiving these kind of messages. Yeah. So you lived in Hawaii for a while and you discovered a lot there as well.
Yes. I lived in Hawaii for 7 years, and my kids went to elementary, middle school there. We still have a home there. Now they're finishing up high school in Europe, which is also part of our background. And yeah, Hawaii really kind of blew my mind with the star beings. We went to Hawaii to be close to the dolphins and whales, which I have a real deep connection with, to swim with them, to be with them. And while I was there, the teacher of my kids for Hawaiian history and culture at school, we just were getting to know each other. Very nice Hawaiian guy. He was asking me what I do, and I was telling him, yeah, shamanic work and all this. And he's like, oh, yeah, we have that all. And he started just talking story and saying, you know, the Hawaiians, they always say we come from Tahiti, but that's not true. We actually come from the Pleiades. Those are our first ancestors, and we've already been on Hawaii when the Tahitians came, and that was put in the history books. And they celebrate that every year, Makahiki, in the fall, when you can see the Pleiades with your bare eyes, a time of fertility, of thankfulness, and also of remembrance of our old ancestors. And it's not only the Hawaii, and that was the point where I started like, whoa, this is like stuff I've heard from the Hopis. This is stuff that I've heard from the Aboriginal indigenous Australians. I traveled a lot before my kids were born. I was lucky I had them late with 41, so I was very free before to travel and learn a lot. And then I started bringing it all together and connecting this, and also understanding that this modern, we think it's modern, you know, all the ETs and science fiction movies, and it's not. It goes back tens of thousands of years, and it's actually our human ancestry and heritage, because we're just tuning into it, and it's been lost in the West, and it's coming back now because according to the shaman knowledge, the old indigenous knowledge, the only beings on the planet that have star ancestry. So there was some kind of a mixing going on, some kind of a, hybridization, however you would define it, is the humans and the dolphins and the whales. Everything else apparently developed on Earth. Pretty interesting.
Fascinating.
And I find that I've given this Star Trek. I've also taught this as a course several times, and I'm finding it gave me, and I also find it gives the people who come to me a sense of understanding where our fascination for the universe and the stars come from, because we're actually connected to it deeper than we think.
Oh, I so agree. I mean, I know some of my early knowledge came from just astrology and just being interested in the cosmic forces, and then started tuning into the stars, the star people and the star beings, and having a huge amounts of downloads from the Lumerian through crystal
Yeah,
energy, and just knowing that. And it was just like, yeah, like no question, right? And then
yeah.
studying more. I did some apprenticeship with Cindy Dale, and she's written a lot about the different people and all. So studying more in the intellect of it, but having those experiences are really, really fascinating. And each different being or star galaxy, or I don't know, you probably have a better word for that, they do carry individual ideas, but yet it does seem like it blends together with knowledge that we need today.
Exactly. Yeah. And you describe your experience, and many people have had these experience. They just can't, there's no drawer for it. They don't know how to classify it. They don't know how to explain it. So there's all these different theories, and who knows what is going on, but it's because it's not something that's openly spoken about. But interestingly enough, I also mentioned this in my booklet, from the card deck, these renowned Harvard professor and psychotherapy, and then another professor like that, they did thousands of sessions with people where they all described their star being encounters or memories or dreams, and they were completely different people from all around the planet, age different, background different, education different, and it seems to be pretty much very common that many people have these experiences. And this deck is also meant to help understand them and find a way to communicate with them, and also find your own star heritage. Like, what is your original star? Where were you first created? Very, very different for different people. And when they find it, very beautiful, heartwarming, and all of a sudden they understand a lot about themselves. So the look outside, of course, is always a look within yourself to understand yourself better.
I like the way you say that. Yeah, I agree. And I definitely do resonate with a lot of the teachings of the Lemurians and their spiritual knowledge. And, sometimes I feel like I don't even belong here on Earth, like, right? And
Yes, you
and
do,
recently,
but you were somewhere else too. Yeah, you're human.
yeah, yeah. And
I get
recently I've
you.
been feeling a little bit more grounded. Like I feel like my soul was wandering for so long, probably after my parents were gone and my kids were grown. It's like, what am I doing now? And I feel like now, I just had this feeling the other day. It's like, okay, I do now feel like maybe I have both feet, one up there and one down here. And now we're grounding. But beyond that, I do feel like I've had others encounter. So I guess it is also possible too to have many separate lives or many separate teachings from the different people. Because even like the Occultarian
Yes.
that I had recently, like I don't really even know quite what that was about, except that that was very, very big. It really was for me. I woke up thinking, change, like, whoa, like, I mean, like it just woke me right up out of that dream. Or it was so real, it didn't even feel like a dream, honestly.
Yes, that's what the encounters are like. They're so real that it's different than a normal dream. Yeah, I had those experiences as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what does your deck say about the Occultarians?
It says that they're leaders, that they have a strong mind and a strong will in a positive way, and that's needed in this day and age. So those are like the groundbreakers. Those are the rebels, the ones who are not afraid of being different and speak their truth, And people listen to them and they trust them. They listen to them and follow them because they trust them. They feel that it comes from the heart. So it's always connected
Mm.
with the heart.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that message too. I have to go back into my journals because, sometimes when you wake up, if you don't write it down, you forget. And I feel like, what was that about? And I can still feel the encounter, but I need to go back to those messages for sure.
And the Arcturians are very different from the Lemurians because you said you also have a real strong affinity with that. Very, very different qualities. So apparently very opposite, but also very, so maybe you just need that at the moment, the Arcturian energy. And it gets you grounded. Yes, it gets you grounded. It's the one who gets things
I was
done.
going to say that. I feel like when I left New York, I lived in New York for 35 years, and I came back with all these teachings. Nobody really knew in Birmingham what I was talking about. It took a while. It's kind of why I started my podcast, just to kind of educate. But I do feel there was some fear in me. Like people like, oh, you can't do that here. That's like the devil's work. And so I do feel part of me was afraid to open up totally to who it was. I didn't even talk about the tarot for so long. I mean, if you came in for a session, I would bring the cards out, but I really didn't talk about it. And it took a long time. It took actually a near-death life experience to start really talking about that. And then now, as you say that, I guess, yeah, maybe that is where now I'm stepping forward going, let go of the fear. Like just be who I am, show up authentically, and then just hold that knowledge. And so perhaps that was a big part of that message that came in for me.
There you go. That sounds like very important information you just received. And the Lemurians are a lot more gentle and a lot softer. And I mean, there's strong energies on the planet, and sometimes it's good to have this, oomph.
Well, I think they did leave in fear too, because they buried their knowledge. Like they left, right? They left as beings on wherever they were. I don't know. There's so much myth to it. I've read a lot about it, so you'd never quite know. I just know how they've helped me.
Well, the Lemurians are considered the first people who actually mixed with star beings. So they incarnated and mixed with the Lemurians and created the Lemurians in what is today the South Pacific area. Hawaii and those areas are the rests. And so they were the first ones, and they have a very close memory to what it was like before all the power plays started on the planet. So you possibly have a memory of that beauty and that lightness and that pure joy and love without any type of competition and wanting, just being together in our differences.
Yeah, and then I think I do hold some of that fear that they left. I think there is something inside of me, but I will say so much has shifted since that Occultarian encounter and since just really going, wait a minute, it's time for me to step up. It's time for me to quit hiding and really bring these teachings out with authority even. Like I do know what I'm talking about. Maybe that's age. Maybe that's wisdom. Yeah, for sure.
You do. Your work is really beautiful and
Thank you.
impressive. I was looking through it all. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so is yours too. Let's talk about the deck a little bit. Like, how did you organize it? Yes, the illustrations are absolutely gorgeous. So, a shout out to your artist for sure. But how did you come about organizing all of it?
Yeah, I'm holding it here as well.
Yeah.
I just made I mean, I always, when I do my books and my decks and my publications, I always commune with my spirit guides. And I write down my ideas, and then I listen to what their ideas are, and then we kind of get it together. But I put in different star being groups to give an impression. And also what you said, that hybrid, that you have the impression that people or you have also been at different places. So that's also reflected in the card deck. Then I have also the different, so it's not just a deck with starseed groups. It also has a lot of different types of knowledge, and there's a lot of information and knowledge and exercises in there. And then I have some cards that go into the major cosmic events and the global changes we're going through and how to deal with that. And different cards with different resources that people can connect with, like resilience, health. Yeah, those are also very, very important. And then with that, you can just lay the deck out and pull cards, or also just read, look through the table contents and read about any of the cards that you're interested in. I also go into the topic of ascension, what that means. Yeah, because we're moving through this bright light.
Talk about that. What does that mean? How do you see that?
Exactly. That's like I said at the beginning, that's the main reason why I did this deck. Oh, and start finding your starseed origin and all that. But yeah, ascension is about getting to a higher awareness, a higher frequency. Some people call it the golden age, or point zero. There's all kinds of different terms and expressions, but it's really a point where you have a more balanced way of dealing with life on the planet, with understanding the polarity of it, and moving on to the next level, and whatever that will mean.
Yeah.
I also talk about dimensions and telepathy, telepathic communication. So everything really connected with this subject.
Yeah, I agree. I have practiced a meditation technique called the Ashaya's Ascension. So, really understanding that idea to get out of the heaviness of the body and to allow our spirit to lift up into the different states of reality can be very powerful, especially for right now, especially as you mentioned earlier, like we are going through change and so many people resist the change because they only are thinking in the one way. But really, you know, as we talked about our class this weekend, it's like there is no time and space. We're the ones that put that on there, and that limits us so much. But when we can open up to a wider perspective, so much more can happen. So much more healing can happen. So much more understanding of our soul's journey comes forward, I believe.
Yeah, and a lot of people have connections to the Pleiades. Yeah, this is a very dominant star group communicating and being in contact with our planet. And the Pleiades, if you've lived there once, incarnated there once, it's considered like, according to these old teachings, it's like a cosmic university where you learn about polarity, where you learn about lower dimensions, and an understanding that it just has to be that way for development. There has to be dark and light. There has to be in lower dimensions opposites. And people who have been there, who have that connection, I'm assuming you have it too, because the Lemurians also were seeded from the Pleiades. They have a deep understanding that, yeah, it's intense on Earth, but it has to be that way. We're at three, if you add time, we're four-dimensional beings, and that's exactly the birth canal that we're moving through as a planet until we can move on to the other dimensions and higher ascension levels, which we can't even imagine what it's like. Do you know the story about the tick?
No.
Okay, do you want to hear the story about
Sure.
the
Please share.
The tick is a being on because about dimensions and ascension. The tick is a creature on our planet, which is two-dimensional. They've done scientific research on this. So it's not three-dimensional the way we are. So for example, if a tick sees an elevator going up and down, it's not going to see something going up and down. It's going to see a circle or a square, the bottom of the elevator, get larger and get smaller. It has absolutely no concept of the third dimension. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So it kind of looks down, sees it more of a flat. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just sees the circle, the boundaries of it getting bigger and smaller, but not the up and down. And dolphins and whales, I think, are beings that have access to more dimensions than we do through their sonar and their way of communicating with frequencies and vibrations that we can only have a grasp of. And we are basically, as humans, pressing through this three-dimensional with time, four dimensions process. We're getting ready to move to other dimensions. And star beings in the other dimensions, they communicate with us telepathically, and when we get into a very calm state, because the universe consists of energy, frequency, everything is energy in the smallest particle, and we basically communicate with geometric patterns through these sound waves, these frequency waves. And our transformer is our brain, is our body, and they have a different way of sensing and communicating, but that's through the sacred geometry. That's how we communicate through telepathy with beings in other dimensions. I hope this makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense to me. Thank you. Yes, but it totally makes sense. And I agree. It is a lot of information, but I think it's so powerful to really understand. I mean, that's why sacred geometry is so important. And sacred geometry goes all the way back to nature. But yet within us, our cellular structure is of sacred geometry. Exactly. And so we start to resonate that. And yeah, I've been working with sound and color and light for a long time. And it just, the whole idea of the light body. And so, yeah, I guess this is where I get it from, right? Because I know I didn't make it up, and I know I've had a lot of teachers. I'll say, well, I've had a lot of teachers, let's just say that. But I just somehow bring all this knowledge in towards, the work that I do and all that I am, and I accept it. I just feel like it's true. I don't feel like I'm afraid of it at all. Now, besides that dream I had just recently, I can't really say I've seen any kind of, aliens or the gray people or had any of those encounters. I've been with partners that have. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure I understand, but I'm just going to accept it. And I think that acceptance is part of it. But I can't really say that I've ever just seen it. I remember I interviewed Freddie Silva not too long ago. It was in his book, Portals of Energy. And he was talking about being right there with the grays and the shining ones and just like really seeing them and having those experiences. And that led him to a lot of the work he has done, through crop circles and portals of energy. But it's the same concept. It's the same idea, portals of energy and that sacredness that we can open up to. And I know I have recently had many healings by experiencing that opening up of portals through my soul work as well. And I do a lot of soul work through the Akashic Records, and I think you can also do the same thing, access this energy of the star beings that come in to show us this. Sometimes I get asked this question, and I don't really have an answer. Maybe you can help me with this. Sometimes people will say, well, where does the soul originate from? Would that be star beings?
Yeah, I mean, where does the soul? Okay, well, this goes back to whatever was first, the Big Bang, according to science. Who knows what? I honestly don't know. We're all sparks of the great big universal light. But yeah, according to this old teaching, and this is also part of this card deck, our soul does have a cosmic origin, and that's different for different people. They will find it in different, some people describe they were on another dimension, in a completely in an area without any objects, planets. Other people describe they were their first beingness was in Sirius, and there's some say they were in the sun. It's very, very different, but it does appear to be, there does appear to be a place where we all came from first, and one of the meditations is also to do that, where you can find that.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating question. And
have you done that and found out where your origin is?
I never really thought I needed to find out where my origin was, quite honestly. I've done my DNA, and I know, some of my DNA ancestry, and I know where my roots come from in terms of in this lifetime, and then through also the Akashic Records. I know I've had other past lives, but I don't think I ever really explored where did my soul come from. I don't know. I don't feel like I really needed to have that answer, but I have had people ask me, and I'm like, I don't know if I know that answer, let me go ask my teachers kind of thing.
Honestly, not everybody needs that. I mean, it's we all, one person might have to go to a skin doctor, the other person doesn't. It depends on what your condition is. And if you need to find that out, you do that, on the soul level.
Yeah, but it actually just opened the door to a little bit of that, because I do talk about knowing where your roots come from, knowing your ancestry, knowing even what you bring forward, whether it's stress or whether, I talk about, the energy of my ancestors bringing forward the worry and the guilt and the scarcity. My mother's family was farmers, right? And my dad's family came Ashkenazic Jewish. So I do find that to be very important. But you know what? Perhaps there is a lot of importance in knowing this. I'm going to have to kind of meditate on that a little bit and understand that a little bit more and use the deck to help me find out, right? I think that's a great way to really approach this. I really do. So I think it's fascinating, all that you've said. And I also think it's fascinating the way in which the whole idea, like you talk about the Galactic Federation, the Galactic Center. And we recently went through that whole portal of energy with 8-8. And part of that energy is the whole Galactic Center, right? And it has become more and more in the public, in the spotlight, or maybe I'm just more hearing about it. More and more people are talking about it. I know when I first started talking about it, nobody really kind of knew what I was talking about. But now it's like when it comes around, everybody's talking about it. And I find that really fascinating and opening up more and more to the acceptance of it.
Yeah. And it's also something that's researched by scientists, by institutes like the Cardiff Institute. It's very in the focus of science as well. And the last time we moved through, we had in a galactic alignment, the dinosaurs went extinct. So the last time we had 11,000 years ago, we moved through the radiation, the Pleiadian radiation belt. There were events, for example, the last times Atlantis went under, the Ice Age ended. So these are very, very powerful cosmic forces. I mean, we've been experiencing now a lot with the sun flares, what an effect that has on
this year.
And these are just small compared to what the forces are out there, and we know it. And we're just on a roller coaster here in the universe, basically waiting for what will happen, but a lot still is gonna happen globally. So that's what we're going through right now. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And there are a lot of contrast, right? I'm with you on that. I mean, we see it in the weather patterns. We are so hot and dry here, and then it got cool, and then it got hot, and we still are so dry. And then up in the Northeast, all the rain and
here as well, everywhere.
The hurricanes it's really crazy. And then the wars that are going on too. I mean, for me, I feel like I hold the hope that the star people are going to come in and save us from some of this destruction that we are now putting upon ourselves. That's one of my hopes. I don't know, but that is one of my hopes. And I'm not sure where I get that from, but yeah.
Well, I see it more that this is the struggle of the old, which is not going to sustain this new light energy, trying to hold on. Yeah, Putin is desperately trying to hold on to the old paradigm, to the old status quo, but everybody knows it's not going to last.
Yeah. And look at the shift we just went through in our country.
Yeah.
Right? I just read as of July 21st, my birthday, but we went through a big shift. And the Democratic Party, okay, we'll get political for a minute because I think it's really important. I kind of try to stay away, but right now is not a time to stay away because the change coming forward for us here in the States is big. It's huge.
Very big.
It's a woman of multicolor. It's a woman that wants to stand for things we need.
It's global. Everybody follows it all around the world. It's not
Thank
just
you.
the States. It's people.
I just got chills.
It's all over. I mean, I'm American too. I have, dual citizenship.
Chills again. Chills keep running through me. Oh my gosh.
I was born with 2 passports. I'm very fortunate, but it's all over the news here every day. What is happening? People are very aware here because it has such an influence on Europe and the rest of the world.
Yeah. It has given me a renewed sense of hope. It really has. And just so powerful. This is what we need. We cannot go with the old. We can't. As women, we have to stand up. And yeah, I mean, I know here where I am, a lot of the housewives, all right, we'll just call it whether they're working or not. But a lot of women sometimes, like, they're just going along with what the husband's saying. It's like, wait a minute, wake up. This is the rights we need. Are you a working mom? Do you have children that have to go to school while you work? Do you need these rights? Yes, we need these rights. Whose body are we talking about? So yes, I do believe that all of this change is coming forward. And I think all this solar flare, the energy coming in from the star people, I'm out there almost every night looking up, and I have that app like, okay, where's the stars tonight? Who's over my head as I
Yeah, yeah.
sleep,
I love
right?
that. I love that app. I have that too.
Yeah,
Star
yeah. So it's
Walker,
so
right?
needed.
Yeah.
So I do believe your deck is very timely, and it does. And even as I was talking with our group the other night, I was like, I don't know. And they're like, no, I love this deck. And we started going a little deeper into it, and everybody was like, oh my God, one girl got two cards. Like, yeah, you get two cards. And she's like, oh my gosh. So let's draw a card, and you can give us a little bit understanding of whatever we draw. This is a message for whoever happens to be listening. Let's just see what comes forward.
Oh, wow. This is a communal drawing. Lemuria and Atlantis. So, see, that's for you.
We got that
Yeah.
one for me because we have been talking about it. Yeah. And
Stargate.
then the Stargate. All
Yeah,
right.
Stargate is those are portals, those are openings where we are able to connect with different dimensions and different beings. And they're actually, stargates are actually being also studied, believe it or not, and it's in the booklet as well by NASA. I think they call them the X points or something like that. They have a expression, but where they're studying the stargates, the gates, the connection between the sun and the earth, where there's a very quick flow of energy. And but these stargates exist all over the universe, and it's a way of accessing. It's like a portal or a vortex on our planet. And I also go into portals and into vortexes in the card deck. Yeah, famous vortexes are, of course, places like Machu Picchu or certain pyramids, Stonehenge, places like that, but also less known places where we just feel the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And yes, of course, I was just in the Portals book. So yeah, I think this is also speaking to what I've
Oh,
been talking about
is
as
that
well.
is that your book?
It's with Freddie Silva. I'm a contributing author to it.
Okay.
So he is amazing in all of his work with crop circles and how now he's talking about the portals of energy opening up to kind of where the crop circles started to teach us about this and where they come from. But I also feel like this card is allowing us to really understand that these are portals of energy. And it does go with all that I've been talking about. And if you look at the card, at first it looks like, okay, galaxy, but then it draws the eye in. And that's what we want to do. And then the book does suggest to find a place, to meditate on it, to recognize what that inspiration and how does it feel to be in an unfamiliar area. And so that's what you're offering, to focus your attention on what it feels like to be able to go through that. And so the meditations as you offer and the exercises are very important to not just pick the card, but to really kind of then go into what you're offering.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So needed at this time. It really is so needed. And Lemurian Atlantis we've talked about, but yes, I thought that was very perfect. And I have swam with the dolphins in Hawaii, yes, a couple of times, and seen the whales. I remember sending Reiki to one of the whales, and just it was almost like eye to eye. It was very cool, very fascinating. And there is so much that we can learn, and we don't have to stay in this dimension only. And right now with the stress and struggles in that, it was a lot of stagnation, like people just holding on. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to hold on and not move. But then that just creates more stagnation. Now there seems to be a little bit of movement, a little bit of opening. And I feel like opening up to other dimensions and moving through these stargates energies and being outside and look up at the stars. I do believe we do come from them. And I am going to kind of go into that a little bit. Yeah. And just see, maybe I can, or maybe I already know. I don't know. But I do find it fascinating, and I do think it's very important right now for all of us to open up our perception of where we are and that we are just a part of this great cosmic forces for sure. Yeah. What is your purpose for this? What is your mission?
Yeah, like I said, to bring out an understanding of the changes and the times we're going through, and finding, with the help of the starseed origin and starseed heritage, finding a healthy path forward for ourselves and our loved ones, our families, and for the generations to come, really to give support in a playful way, doing a card deck and drawing cards and getting inspiration is a lot more fun than reading a big fat book, which is also nice, but it's more fun to do a card deck. especially with all the information. There's a lot of information in here.
And I think too,
Yeah.
accessing, that creative mind, looking at the art, looking at another way of thinking, getting out of that logical way we all tend to want to see the world. But I think it does help us to do that.
It's a mystery. You were mentioning that before. Sorry. When you look up in the sky, we're all staring at our phones. We're all looking down all day. We've forgotten to look up. And remember, like 150 years ago, there was no electricity yet. And people had a lot more awareness for tens of thousands of years of the stars above us and the movements of the stars. And who knows what else is up there that we can't see anymore because of light pollution. And the deck is also meant to remind us that it's a big mystery. Oh my God, when you look at the stars and we're in this, where do we come from? Where are we going? And what is this all for? And have fun.
And I don't think enough of us get outside to really look at the stars. I tell you, I was out in Santa Fe this summer, and just to be out in that open, massive
Right.
space and to look up, it was just
Right.
breathtaking. Yeah. Someone just said, well, what are you doing this weekend? It's like, I got to get outside. I want to just sleep under the stars. And that's so true. I really do. And I think it just brings such powerful energy to all of us when we can get outside and look up, for sure. So where can we find your work? What's going on? What are you teaching now?
Yeah,
Let us know.
I give courses in Europe because my kids are finishing high school here. But I'm going to do online courses for English speaking audience. I'm going to have little short lessons, 10, 15 minutes about these different topics and issues. They are on my homepage, lisarainbow.com. And I'm adding on one every 1 to 2 months, little by little. Yeah. And my kids are going to graduate from high school in 4 years, and then I will be more mobile. But anybody who has children knows that as long as they go to school, you have to be where they are. But luckily nowadays we have this kind of online communication, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we do. We have both now, online, in person, all of it. So that's awesome. And a shout out to Inner Traditions for publishing them. They're awesome. Just putting all this work out. We love them dearly.
And Inner Traditions and Earth Dancer, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
for
imprint.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Yeah, and as we go to kind of round it up, I like to come back and just leave our listeners with an inspiring message. And we've had many, but how would you say, working with this shamanic card wisdom deck, how would you say it can help to empower the spirit right now?
To have inner strength and find your own authenticity, being your authentic self, finding your inner groundedness and ascending above fear, worry, confusion, and also those energies that are trying to drag us down at this time. I mean, the media is full of it. There's so much negativity in the air. To not let it get to you, or to let it get to you less, and to get into your space of peacefulness, of love, and enjoying being alive, ascending above the fear. Yeah.
Ascending above the fear. So needed. Being your authentic self. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today and sharing your gifts. So much. Thank you. Yeah. To your spirit. Namaste. Yes, it is time to ascend above fear, confusion, worry, and to open up the mind, to drop into the heart, to recognize the many dimensions we exist on. It is a time to find the peace and the joy that can open you up to higher vibrations of consciousness. Be your authentic self. Trust in the guidance that your soul is telling you. Be sure to check out Lisa, her cards, and all that she offers. And come join me in my next online class, Monetize Your Energy. Thanks again for listening. This is your host, Terry Ann Hyman. To your spirit, namaste. Hey, 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 all you Birmingham folks, don't forget September 21st at the Yoga Lab, a sacred Reiki circle is forming. And on Sunday, the equinox, September 22nd at the Yoga Circle, an equinox celebration along with Dawn Cassisi. Links will be in the show notes.